Hi guys, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to day 2 of the 25 Days of Christmas Card Challenge. This is going to be a die heavy card and we're going to be using the die set from Honeybee Stamps called Winter Bouquet. And you can see over here that I have some of the poinsettia pieces already cut out, and I actually cut everything out so that this video won't be super long. And this is the MFT stencil, and let me just figure, I think it's called Swiss Dots. Yes, Swiss Dots. And I am using a light blue cardstock with distress ink in tumbled glass. So I just wanted a little bit of a subtle background, and this is almost a tone-on-tone color. Didn't want it to be too distracting because there are going to be lots of die cuts on there. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do all of my inking with the oxides and the didn't cover the middle of that really well, but that's okay because that is where a lot of our pieces are going to be. So I just really wanted a subtle background, if you can see there. I didn't do well right there, but that's okay. So if you saw the first video, you saw that I kind of screwed up and I got ink all over the back of my card. So I'm trying to do all of my inking, sorry guys, in the beginning so that I can not have to worry about cross-contaminating or getting my card base dirty again. So I'm going to try to wipe off as I go, and then after we're done all of the inking, I'm going to start using the glass media mat. So I'm going to put this off to the side because that background is done, and then we're going to take this piece right here. So this, I used my 3D embossing folder from Tim Holtz. It's one of the Sizzix ones, and it's a piece of this, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's kind of shiny paper on the back and then it's plain white. I used some antique linen distress oxide and inked that up and then ran this through my Cuttlebug. Didn't want you guys to sit here and watch me do that. That's why I did it off camera already. I'm trying to do as much as I can. And then we're going to use some vintage photo distress oxide to kind of go over, to give this a little bit more of a wood grain feel. So this is going to help bring out the highlights in the piece. So this is a great way to make wooden mantle pieces, wooden floors. So we're just gonna kind of, now I know I got my nails and my fingers dirty. I probably should have used some tape, which I think I'll do now, even though this isn't really thick. If you don't have thick washi tape, you can just double it up. And then this will save your fingers from getting nice and inky, even though I feel like I still do anyway. I'm a mess when I craft. It should also help keep the fingerprint smudges away from your piece. So you can leave your piece like this because it has highlights and lowlights and everything. But I think I'm going to go back in with a little bit of the walnut stain, which is a dark brown distress oxide, and just kind of hit some of the highlights, some of the places where I think it might be a little bit darker than others. And what's nice about this is you can go back in and, you know, if you think that you got something a little bit too dark, if one of your places is a little bit too dark, then you can go back in with some of the lighter and inks and blend it out. But I think that looks good because I just kind of went over where the knots would be in the piece, and you can see, hopefully you guys can see that, the like light, medium, and dark. I love that. I love what distress inks and distress oxides can do for die cut pieces. That's one of my favorite things to do when I'm dressing up die cut pieces, is go back in with some distress ink and distress oxide and just kind of highlight things. So the next piece that we're going to highlight, the poinsettia leaves. And am I saying that right? I don't ever know if it's poinsettia or poinsettia. Don't know. So we're gonna go with oxide, distress oxide barn door for the lighter pieces, and I kept that kind of to the top. And I just want to give little bits of highlights because this will actually kind of put some of this distress oxide or distress ink, whichever you use, down into the embossed marks of it. And this is kind of the same color, so you're not really going to be able to see it here, but some of the other pieces you'll be able to see, like probably on the green. Or you could go in with a darker oxide or ink color and really make those stand out. I'm not worrying about the middle because we're going to be doing a piece with the middle. So gonna do that. So that was Barn Door Distress Oxide. If you wanted to, you could use the same exact shade of red on both of these, and I think that would help the red stand out here. But this one is Distress Ink, and it is Festive Berries, only because I don't have the oxide in Festive Berries, I don't think. So I'm just kind of going over the leaves a little bit just to help it have a little bit of 3D. I could have used, again, for this one, I probably should have used a darker red. Probably could have used the Festive Berries for the first one. But you can, in person, you can really tell. I'm not sure how much this is picking up on camera, but in real life, you can see some of the marks. Now you can just kind of go around the edges to give the edges shading and not do the middles, or you can do the middle. It doesn't really matter, whatever look you like for shading. So now I've done all 4 of those, and now I want to give the leaves just a little bit of color. So now I think I have 3. So we're going to use Pine Needles, which is a lot darker than the green that I have out. So I think I'm just going to do the bottom of the leaves, kind of where it would be next to the flower, or next to the poinsettia, and kind of give it some shading like that. And you can use either end of these leaves. It's really cool. So there are a lot of pieces in here. There are pine cones. There's 2 different toppers for the candles, which I will show you in a minute. I'm not using any distress inks or distress oxides on the candles. You completely could. You could go back in and do that. You can use Copic markers to do some shading. I just chose not to do that right now. So now I'm going to put all of these pieces to the side. I'm going to move the distress oxides and distress inks over and just put this down out of the way so we have a clean work surface, because I learned my lesson last time. So I will show you the original piece that I did. I had a red, a white, and a green candle, and I didn't like the way that looked. So I actually took a photo of the one that I did like. So I'm just going to reference it. Let's see. Just want to reference the picture here. I will show you guys what it looks like. So that's what it is. I'm going to kind of try to reference that. And there are pieces. So what I did was I did all my die cuts and then I put them in this bin here. So I do have 2 of the center pieces for the florals, or for the poinsettias. And then I do have a couple of the wicks, which I didn't want to lose them, so I put them in there. We are going to be doing using some Nuvo crystal drops on those. And then here is the red candle that I cut out, but we're not going to use. So I'm going to keep it in there because I'm going to save it. So the one thing you'll notice in this that's not in this picture is the mantle. So I didn't want a huge mantle, but I definitely want something at the bottom just to kind of ground them, because that picture didn't look like it was grounded enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the liquid glue on the back of this, and I'm going to see how much I actually want to put on this card. Probably only about 1 inch of this. I did 2 inches, but I think I only want about 1 inch of the mantle on there. So then after, I can just take my scissors and cut this off. If I can find a pair of scissors. I have so many pairs all around my room because I have them in different spots for different things like die cutting. I have so that I can cut the background paper. I have it over on my scoring board for some reason, but I just have these little scissors, which are great. I think I put a little bit too much glue on the back of that because it's bubbling up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a block, and we're going to put something on top of it. Actually, I'm going to put this on here. That should be heavy enough for a little bit. Let me just put that over to the side so that you all can see what I'm trying to do. Hopefully that's not in the way too much. So then I can use this for another piece. I actually like this because this has some of the knots on it, and I think that if I want to make a second card, I will definitely use that. So the pieces that I want to do, so I want to first start with the bases. So I cut the poinsettias out of 2 different colors of cardstock. And here they look a little bit too different for me. Like they look like they're probably not going to be the same flower. So what I think I'm going to do is actually bring back out, okay, I'm just going to put this right here. I'm just going to use a little bit of this. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my festive berries and I'm going to go back over this and make this flower a little bit darker. So I probably should have used, I guess, a darker color red cardstock, because I think this is too light. So let me see. It's still a little light, but we're gonna roll with it. So I'm gonna put as much ink on as I can, and I'm using one of these smaller round blending brushes that I have. These are the makeup brushes. These aren't like the life-changing brushes or anything. They were super inexpensive on Amazon. I think these were these black ones were the Duramy ones. So okay, it looks a little bit better. It's not perfect, but then again, these are handmade, and this is what happens when you do videos live. You realize that you should have used a different color, or you should have done something differently. This is why it takes so long to make handmade cards. So if people always wonder why handmade cards take so long to make or are so expensive, this is the reason why, because you have to keep going back and changing things. Okay. So now we can start the assembly of the card. So that's what I want to do, is I just kind of want to put a little dot of glue underneath here, because I also want to be able to curl up the poinsettia leaves a little bit to almost make it a 3D card. And when you do that, it doesn't look, the reds don't look so different. I think that looks really, really pretty. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And then we are going to put a, oops, and I put the wrong one on the wrong thing. Okay, so I meant to put the larger one on the larger poinsettia leaves. So there's 4 different sizes of leaves that you can use. So I meant to put the smaller one with the smaller. So I use the 2 largest sizes for the base and the 2 smallest sizes for the inside piece. And then we're going to put a little glue dot down and put in the middle, or little glue, not glue dot, the center piece. So these are usually the yellow pieces. So I'll show you what we're going to do in a minute with these. Okay, oops. Let's just get that to stick for a second. Sometimes that's the problem with using liquid glue. It doesn't always stick, especially when you have some distress oxide that it's sticking to. Let me just reference the picture again. Okay, so we're going to put these off to the side, and then we also have the wicks for the candles. So now we're going to start assembling the card. Now I want this candle to be the centerpiece to be the highest one. So I'm trying to decide if I want to put them, I was going to do this and then have the poinsettias cover them so you can't really see that the bottom is, so we'll have a leaf coming over here. So you can't really see that that's the bottom of the candle. So it makes it look like the candles are 2 different sizes, because the the white ones are the exact same size as the green ones, but it's not going to look like that. So we'll place this one right here on top of the mantle. Hopefully that's centered, or as centered as it can get. And then we are going to put some glue on the back of the white one. What would be great would be to use those stickers, or the adhesive paper, so you wouldn't have to glue all this stuff down. That would probably be the easiest, but I have some from Concord and, oops. I have some from Concord and 9th, but I didn't think about using them when I cut this stuff out. So we're gonna do pretty much the same thing in my hair. I think actually, yeah, I put both of them in front. Okay. Just trying to see if I put one behind the other one. I wasn't sure if I did a white one in the back or not. But it doesn't have to be just like the design. I just kind of liked the way that had come out. So I'm going to glue the leaf down first to cover up this piece right here. And then we're going to glue the poinsettia down. And I'm trying to do it so that it doesn't go off the front of the card, because this card is exactly the same size as a A2 size card base. I'm going to put this poinsettia down here, and then we're going to put leaves covering it. We just had, I think we had the leaf here. I'm trying to remember which leaf I had where. I had this one coming down this way. Probably do it this way. That's the larger one. Don't mind me just talking to myself while I craft. And then this one just gets tucked back here. I love the dimension that this is. You know, this is a flat card for all intents and purposes, but it has some dimension because you keep curling the layers up and it looks fantastic. Okay, so these little wicks right here, or the little flames, you can put them. So there is a little line on here. I got some red on it. Trying to see what I have around here, like pokey tools or anything. I don't have any of that. So I think that we're gonna make that line a little bit more visible. It looks like it has a little wick there. And I love the subtleness of the background, that it just gives it just a little bit. It's like such a subtle pattern that it gives it a little bit of texture and interest, but it doesn't take away from the front of the card. That's what I was worried about. I was worried about finding a pattern that would complement instead of distract from the front of the card. Okay. My hands have a little bit of glue on them, so they're a little sticky. So that's what it is. So this, let's see if this is the brush. Nope, this isn't the brush tip. I'm looking for a very fine marker, black marker. Let's see if I can see how thick this comes out. I don't want a real thick line. Just want a little line so you can kind of, I got it on the wick a little bit, I mean on the flame a little bit. That's okay. That's okay because we're gonna cover them up. So, let's stamp the inside of the card before we finish this, but this is pretty much what our card is going to look like. So here is the card base. Just cut a piece of cardstock down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Top folding card. Actually cut it larger than that because it's top folding. So it is a 8 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of paper, and 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 inch paper. I got my measurements wrong today. Sorry guys. And I cut it down to, or I scored it at 4 1/4 so that it's a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch note card. So the sentiment we're going to use is from Honeybee Stamps called Believe, and I'm going to say believe in the miracle of Christmas. I think that's such a pretty sentiment. And the only thing I have to do is try to decide if I'm going to do it in green or in black. So I wish we were doing this live and we had like a little voting poll so that you guys could help me decide, because I'm the worst when it comes to things like that. And we might do it in green just because I don't see the black in here. The magic of Christmas. Now, yes, this does not leave me a ton of room to write a message on here, but that's okay. I don't have to always write a message every time I send a card. You can write the to and the from, and that's pretty much all you'll need. So, since these are brand new stamps and I haven't used them yet, I'm going to try to do the priming method. I'm going to use the oils from my hand to go over this. Let's see. Oh, I have the Gina K black amalgam ink in here, so I will use that. Let's see how this stamps after I've primed them. So it's going to say, believe in the magic of Christmas. The believe is going to have to get stamped again. I can tell that there's, you can see the ink pad drag marks on it. It kind of looks cool though. So I think I took some of, it's either the way I turn the ink pad or I took some of the, like the film that's on a lot of these stamps off, but not all of it. We will see. We will stamp again. That is the, oh, this one has a much better coverage. That is the beauty of stamping with a MISTI, is that you can stamp multiple times and get that one more time for the believe, because I think that it's so close to a solid black image. And most of the times you're not going to have to stamp more than once or twice, but unless they're new stamps. The new stamps seem to have like a coating on top of it that prevents it from stamping beautifully the first or second time. So a lot of times you'll have to stamp more than 1 or 2 times. Beautiful. So it says, believe in the magic of Christmas. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So I'm going to put this now off to the side. And I know that a lot of the cards I've been doing have been featuring blue lately, which is kind of funny. Oh, excuse me. Blue is one of my favorite colors, but it's not traditionally a Christmas color like the traditional reds and greens. Looking to see if I can find my ATG gun anywhere, but I don't see it, so we're just going to use this. This wouldn't be my first choice for adhering this, but it will give me a little bit of wiggle room because before when I did this, it had a teeny tiny bit of white and I had to wiggle it around to get it to look perfect. Okay. There is our card front. So then the last things that we're going to do, and I think I got a little bit of smudge on the back, but I'm okay, it's okay. We are going to be using the Nuvo Jewel Drops in, this one is Limoncello for, what was I gonna, oh, so these are gonna be the centers of the poinsettias. I got a little bit of green on here. So we're just gonna put some in there. And when it dries translucent, so you're gonna be able to see those little dots in there. But it's gonna have dimension to it, which is awesome. And then for the flames of the candle, we're gonna be using Nuvo Crystal Drops in Sugared Almond. These are gloss. So we'll see how these come out. I've never used this one before, so we'll see. All right, so here is the final card for day 2, and then believe in the magic of Christmas inside. I'm just gonna kind of use to get the air bubbles out of them. So that is card 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. I'll be working on some more soon because I know that I'm a little bit behind in the Christmas videos, but there will be more coming. So stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button and you will see the rest of, you'll get notified for the rest of the 25 Days of Christmas series and all the other good stuff that I do. See you soon. Bye.